Nostalgia is a very powerful thing. When you think of your favourite PlayStation 1 games, a legendary ensemble of titles tend to surface. You know what they are, and we're both thinking of many of them right now. But here are 5 of my favourite PlayStation 1 games that you might not necessarily expect. Before the internet made every potential Google search eternally not safe for work, getting your hands on video games was a tricky endeavour. Even finding information about the industry or new releases was like finding physical pornography in the woods. Sadly, infrequent to say the least, but luckily our childhoods were saved by having friends. So when I went to a buddy of mine's house one day, we were met by a science fiction romp through an impending doomsday with Smash TV-esque mechanics, an assault rifle I thought for a long time featured in Deep Rising, and the safe, familiar wisecracks of Bruce Willis. Apocalypse is a fast-paced run-and-gun game that sticks in my memory for so many reasons, in spite of being quite short and suffering from some rather fiddly platforming. With the emphasis on destruction, Apocalypse uses a fixed dynamic camera to lead you through a stage, slaughtering enemies, picking up colourful weapons, and culminating in a face-off with a boss before grading your bloodletting and banking your lives for the next skirmish. The first half of the game is a strong example of having fun with this limited concept, and the enjoyment I get from tentatively creeping forward, unleashing death on PlayStation environments, leaving no glass, air conditioner or pipe intact, is joyful in its simplicity. I also remember this game due to the final boss being practically unbeatable, in spite of 2 best friends throwing every ounce of gaming skill their young minds could muster. It seems like everyone had a few friends at secondary school who managed to scoop a game or two you'd never heard of, and for me, that was Bido Blade. So when I adventured to someone's house and clashed swords for the first time, I was stunned that the slash was so lethal. In that moment, I was converted to a Bido Blade fanatic. This 1v1 fighting game allowed full 3D movement and a diverse cast of characters to duel until death, and death comes very swiftly in a game where a single blow can end a battle. Full of parrying, dashing, deliberate strikes, Bido Blade was a video game from a more civilized age, and was full of nuance completely lost on me and my button-mashing friends. Years after, I really would never play anything quite like it, and it came to live in my memory so fondly due to how it blew my mind with the movement and the mix of never-before-seen lethality. Fate had it that my friend group closer to home were unable to grab a copy and really delve further into it, but those hours spent dueling with the controls and the ferocious CPU stand just as strong as any other game I owned and loved. Silent Bomber is easily one of my favourite PlayStation 1 games. There's almost nothing about it that I can't help but love. The visuals encapsulate what makes this generation so special, and the beauty they evoke when I go back and experience them again is why we play video games. However, the reason Silent Bomber is so beloved for me is the game design and the mechanics are just as quality as that phenomenal presentation. For the uninitiated, this game is a science fiction action game that takes the idea of Bomberman and injects it into a more mature, violent geopolitical military plot, but only a few people will care about that, as the game is about blowing things up, dashing around, and avoiding security systems as you wreak absolute havoc. The game is segmented into bite-sized missions packed with gameplay that demand you destroy a wide variety of cool machines with constantly adjusting mission parameters. And you might be wondering where the twist is. Well, unlike being limited to simply laying bombs, you can project them in front of you, and onto actual enemies. This simple concept creates aggressive and addictive play on the classic Bomberman formula. The final boss sequence still haunts my rich memories of Silent Bomber, but it's just so damn good not to love it anyway. There are lots of games from your childhood that you remember fondly, yet forget in equal measure until you accidentally stumble upon them later on and reminisce. Twisted Metal 2 is not one of those games. Car combat is a genre seemingly long since left behind, but at that time, it was the beginning of a true surge in vehicular carnage, and Twisted Metal was leading that pack. Taking the violent framework of something like Road Rash, and then setting them in a destructible sandbox arena akin to Destruction Derby, Twisted Metal 2 let you and your friends choose a host of psychopaths in all manners of automobiles, and chaos ensued. To add gasoline to the fire, the arenas are littered with weapons and pickups, be it missiles and boosts or specials and health ups, and all of this ensemble comes together in the high-speed madness that is this game. Twisted Metal is all about deathmatch. In cars. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. But the reason I really dug this series is the secrets. Amidst all of the devastation caused by play, certain parts of the environment would break and lead to secret paths, hidden jumps, and all kinds of goodies. Once we discovered this, our reckless high-speed murdering became an Easter egg hunt to spy and uncover every concealed detail. The hours sacrificed to the altar of hunting Twisted Metal 2's secrets is time spent I still cherish. If you were an 80s baby and got into anime, you probably have heard the name Vampire Hunter D. And if you know anything of this character dear to my heart, you'll know that we were starved of any culture relating to him outside of the 1985 movie for a long time. In that interim, my closest friend was lucky enough to have a chipped PlayStation and the glorious list of games to choose from, and that's where we first encountered this title. Vampire Hunter D is a story-driven Resident Evil clone that loosely follows the events of the Bloodlust movie, which wouldn't release for another year. You explore the Grand Castle's long, elaborate hallways, ballrooms, and all the while uncovering dark secrets lurking within. Two things always stood out to me with this game: the movement speed and the jumping. Resi clones were a dime a dozen by the end of the PlayStation 1's lifespan, but most of them had cumbersome mobility. Not here. D bounds across the Barak antechambers and it looks awesome. I can't tell you this game is revolutionary, as it really isn't, but I always loved the way D looked in this, and being able to do battle with him, regardless of the quality, was a power fantasy I had wanted for a long time. And this gifted me that. And gift is the right word, as so many touches and homages are present here that it really is a game I grew to love. PlayStation is a special machine to me, and there are so many games worth gushing over. We really were so spoiled.